Hello, everybody, and welcome to UC Berkeley on this virtual campus visit today. We're super excited that you took some time out of your day today to hear from our lovely campus ambassadors and just from what it's like to be a Berkeley student here. So without further ado, let me quickly introduce myself. So I'm Nina. I will be your moderator today. I use a she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm an international student from Ghent, Belgium, but I'm joining you here live today from my wonderful apartment in Berkeley. I'm a junior double majoring in business administration and statistics with a minor in industrial engineering and operations research. While being an awesome campus ambassador, I'm also part of Voyager Consulting, where in the past I've consulted for Costco and Benefit Cosmetics. I'm also part of the Women in Network community, which is where you get a mentor who's currently working in an industry that you would like to go in. So currently my mentor is working in consulting, which I'm really excited about. And next semester, I'm also going to be a Student Learning Center economics tutor. I'm also currently doing an off-campus internship with EA Games, and I'm also a part of Greek Life. So now for some housekeeping about this visit. So this will be a 45-minute presentation. As you will have noticed, the chat has been disabled. So if you have any questions throughout this visit, please hit up our Q&A. We have wonderful campus ambassadors on screen, but also in the back end who can be typing answers to your questions if we don't get to them live. So polls will also be popping up throughout this visit, so please fill those out so we can get a better sense of who's joining us here today and we can cater this visit better to you. As you will have seen, this visit is recorded and will be sent to you after the tour. However, there's also different visits available on our YouTube channel, which I will be linking at the end of this tour. This, again, as I mentioned, is a campus overview from the student perspective. This means that we are not representatives of the admission office or financial aid office. If you'd like to know more information about admissions or financial aid, I'd highly recommend going to the separate admissions presentation, which I will also be linking at the end of this visit. If you do have any questions about admissions or financial aid, you could always ask them in the Q&A and we can direct you to the correct resources as well. We will also be ending this tour with a live Q&A session where all the questions that you've asked throughout this visit will be answered live by our wonderful campus ambassadors, and we'll do our best to answer any and all of your questions. It will make our life a lot easier if you ask all of your questions during the tour so that we can make sure that we cover them in the live Q&A. Please don't ask them at the end of those last 15 minutes because it's going to be really hard for us to kind of make sure we get them all answered. So please, 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 whenever a question pops up, ask it in the Q&A and we'll make sure we answer it live as well as giving you a wonderful written response. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to our two tour guides for today.
Hi everyone, my name is Yaas. I use the she series pronoun and I'm originally from Tehran, Iran. It's just 2 oceans away from Berkeley. I'm going to be a junior starting this fall, and I am double majoring in political science and gender and women's studies. Other than being a campus ambassador, I'm also a researcher at the Human Rights Center at UC Berkeley School of Law. And I also part of the Middle Eastern and North African Recruitment and Retention Center. In short, it's called MENARC. And also a part of the Iranian Students Cultural Organization and a director for this program, this volunteering program on campus called Build. Yeah, super excited for this tour today.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace. I use the She series and I'm originally from Santa Barbara, California, but I'm joining you live from Berkeley. I'm a rising senior majoring in molecular environmental biology and minoring in data science. And outside of the classroom, I'm involved in KESM, which is a nonprofit organization that supports children through and beyond a parent's cancer. I'm a part of Greek Life, the Student Environmental Resource Center, as a campus engagement director, greening the Greeks, scuba at Berkeley, which is how I got my scuba certification. I also do research through the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, and am currently finishing up an internship at a marine mammal rehabilitation center called SIMWE. So if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to use the Q&A function.
Okay, so let's get started. Right about now, you should be seeing your first poll of the day. It's for us to get to know you better and know who our audience is today. So go ahead and answer that. And then when you look at your screen, you see a couple pictures. In the middle, there's a picture of a bear. So if this was a campus tour and we were walking throughout campus, I would play a game with you guys called Spot the Bears, because there are 27 bears on campus. This bear in particular, which is my favorite, is called Sturdy the Bear. And it is by Memorial Stadium. Hopefully you will come to campus and see it in person. On the right, you see the screen space area where people are sitting down and playing the guitar. That is the Memorial Glade. It's the screen space between some campus libraries and buildings, including in the back, you see Doe Library, and on its left, you see the Campanile, which is our bell tower here at Berkeley. The Memorial Glade is a great spot for students to spend break times, to just sit down, study, take naps. I personally love taking naps there in between my classes if I had the time and if it was bright outside. It's also a great place to have picnics with friends, especially during the pandemic. That's where I went to hang out with friends, while socially distanced. Then on the bottom left, you see 150W. That is our celebration of 150 years of women at Berkeley, which happened last year. It's a great accomplishment for us to be one of the first colleges to have a woman enter, and we really take pride in that. With that said, let's move on.
Yeah, so just a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over an overview of Berkeley, our academics, housing and dining, health and safety, student resources, student life, athletics, libraries and research, and remote learning. So let's get on to it.
Okay, a little bit about Berkeley. So our campus was founded in 1868, making us one of the oldest universities in California. And also we are the original UC Berkeley, sorry, we are the original University of California. So you might hear Berkeley be referred to as Cal for short, or Berkeley. That is because we were the first UC campus in California, and they call us sometimes Cal for short. Our mascot, pictured on the first picture on the top left, is Oski. Oski has the brightest smile you would ever see in your life, and is just is on campus most days. At rallies, you see Oski at football games just cheering. My goal is to take a selfie with Oski one day. Hopefully I can do that before I graduate. On the right, you see the Campanile. That is our bell tower, or one of our historical landmarks. It's the third tallest bell tower in the world. And then you see Seder Gate on the bottom left corner. That is also the entrance gate to the university. Is also pictured in Monsters University, if you watched that movie, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So pretty cool. And a little bit about how many people we have here on campus. We're a big population, around 30,000 undergraduate students and over 11,000 graduate students on campus. So we're pretty big, and it can get really crowded. Hopefully you get to experience the crowd in person. To you, Grace.
Thank you. Yeah, I really hope you get your picture with Oski soon. I love seeing him on campus and giving him high fives. But continuing on, whenever I'm asked about my favorite parts of Berkeley, I talk about two things in particular. One is that I think our campus is really on the forefront of progress and change, and that's because we are a community of change makers. This can be seen throughout our campus's history, but something we take a lot of pride in at Berkeley is being the birthplace of the free speech movement. The free speech movement began as a series of protests led by Mario Savio for students to have the right to express their own opinions and speak freely on college campuses, because that wasn't the case prior to the movement. And this movement spread throughout college campuses, and now students do have that right, which is really amazing. And this just goes to show our campus is full of leaders and students wanting to challenge the status quo. I love telling the story. I know a professor, Dr. Robert Mueller, who is a fantastic physicist, but he was a student at Berkeley during the free speech movement. And he told me a story of how he was protesting during the free speech movement and actually ended up getting arrested during the free speech movement. But he tells this story to his students to show that he supports them in all their endeavors, not just academically, but in other aspects of their lives as well. And I just think that that story encapsulates how supportive our professors are of us, again, both academically, but in other aspects, and they really want to see us thrive. So I really appreciate our professors and students. And the second thing that kind of is along the same lines is our community. Yaas talked a little bit about our campus size, which is on the larger side, but because of that large size, we have students from such a wide range of backgrounds, and you meet people who are so passionate about different things, and you get to learn so much from every single person you talk to. And I really, really appreciate that. Our students also have so much spirit and pride. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see Say Their Gate and our Rally Committee. Rally Committee is a really awesome organization on campus, and they get our students hyped up for game days, as well as our spirit squad, like our dance team, our cheer team, and our Cal band. And I just love the kind of juxtaposition of the photos in the top right and bottom right, because they're both Say Their Gate at very different times, one during the free speech movement and the other with our Cal Rally Committee. So our community is awesome, and I love that we are a campus of change makers.
Thank you, Grace. Yes, as you said, we are a campus of change makers. Now, being a Berkeley student, it's such a unique and unmatched experience because, as Grace said, this campus really values our voice and our activism, and whatever we're passionate about, we can really put our passion and raise awareness on campus with the support of the university. For example, last November, my freshman year here at Cal, there were protests going on in Iran. And as an Iranian student, I was really worried about my family back home. And so what we did with the other Iranian students was that we wanted to raise some awareness on campus because no one knew what was happening in Iran, and no one knew that there was like an internet shutdown and some stuff like that. So we got a group together and we organized our own rally, just being on Sproul and raising awareness. We had our signs up, and people stood by and asked us what was going on, and we explained to them what's going on in Iran and why we're speaking out. And that was such a great experience for me. It really showed that this campus cares about who I am, and my identity matters here at Cal. Other than that, we are a research university. We are a public research university. You can see on the picture in the middle, we really value research. There are a lot of opportunities, no matter what you're interested in, no matter what your major is, you can definitely find some kind of research to do. For example, I know Grace is also part of the URAP, which is a undergraduate research program here at Cal. I am also a part of that, and I work at the Human Rights Center, where we are able to navigate human rights violations around the world. And that's just one example out of many. Other than that, we have a lot of school spirit and a lot of school pride. You see Oski with some standing with a group of people wearing striped blue and yellow, our blue and gold, our campus color shirts. That is the rally committee. You see them very loudly and fun at game days, during regular school times. Hope you can experience that as well.
Yeah, and Berkeley does so much on campus, and this has a really large global impact. In terms of education, we have the Student Tech Equity Program. So this year, of course, a lot of things were moved online. And so this was a program that allowed students to apply to have loaner laptops, Wi-Fi hotspots, etc., just so that all of our students had equal access to education this year. We also have remote youth. We also had remote youth programs. Sometimes they're in person or in a regular time they're in person, but we have like Cal Youth Adventures, which really helps get the youth outside, which is awesome. We also did a lot of groundbreaking research in terms of COVID. We did trial testing for saliva testing, which was really good for some people because the nose swabs can be a little bit difficult, and a lot of students got to get involved in this research. And it's so cool that students got to be a part of something so relevant and do something that was really benefiting the world. And then we also do so much advocacy for social justice. This past year, a lot of students really tried to educate themselves and become anti-racist, just acknowledging implicit biases, etc., in their own lives, and really working on bettering ourselves and making ourselves a campus that is welcoming to everyone. And then, of course, in the online world, there is a lot of burnout. Zoom fatigue is a big thing. So there was, our school offers us counseling, 5 free counseling sessions, just to help us maintain our mental health, which is always really important. So I really appreciated all the resources that we got, and also our global impact during COVID research and all of that.
Thank you, Grace. Now we're gonna move on and talk about our undergraduate colleges. But before we do that, you should see the second poll right up on your screen. It's for us to know which college you are mostly interested in so that we can focus more on that. So go ahead and answer that, please. Okay, so here at Berkeley, we have 5 undergraduate colleges: the College of Letters and Science, Rouser College of Natural Resources, the College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. We're gonna go over all of those in depth, but just for you guys to know, it is pretty doable to transfer between colleges or apply to them directly. You just need to have petition to transfer from one college to another college. And at Berkeley, it is very flexible. When you come in, you don't have to stick with the major you entered with. I definitely changed my major. I know a lot of other people that did. And Berkeley gives you room to explore and find out what you're actually passionate about and what you want to major in. So with no further ado, let's start with the College of Letters and Science.
Yes, I'm so excited to tell you all about the College of Letters and Science. It is our largest undergraduate college here on campus, housing 3/4 of our undergraduate population. And I saw that a lot of you were interested in social sciences and arts and humanities, which are under this college. So if you're interested in that, you would apply to the college, to a major within the College of Letters and Science. And this college is really awesome because we have 80+ majors within the college. And so there really is something for everyone. But if there still isn't something that you absolutely love, there's an interdisciplinary studies major where you get to build your own major, which means you work with an advisor and kind of get to pull classes from here and there that you love and find a way to turn that into your own major. And I think that's really incredible that everyone will get to do something that they're super passionate about. This college also has 7 breadth requirements, which means that students get to explore a large variety of courses, and that's part of their major requirement. And I think that creates such well-rounded students, and it allows you to discover things that you might not have known you were passionate about. Something else I love to note is that 17 out of our 25 Nobel Prizes are within the College of Letters and Science, and just the fact that Berkeley has 25 Nobel Prizes is pretty incredible. And now moving on to the Rouser College of Natural Resources. I could not be more excited to talk about this college. It is my home college, so I might have just a tiny bit of bias towards it. This is our college that has a huge environmental focus with a wide variety of majors. The focuses are biological sciences, nutrition and toxicology, ecosystem management, interdisciplinary studies, social sciences, and economics and policy. So I fall under the biological sciences as a molecular environmental biology major. But what I really appreciate about this college is even though my major does lean very far into the STEM category since I am biology. I am learning so much about social justice and sustainability. This college is super interdisciplinary, and I've taken courses that really grapple with environmental racism, and I've learned so much about how environmental issues are human rights issues. And I feel like being in this field, I've gotten such a great mixture of more STEM classes and social science classes, and I've learned so much. And I think our mission statement really encapsulates everything so well. It's see the bigger picture, make a better world. And in these photos, you can see students out in the field. What I love about CNR is that in a lot of our courses, we actually use Berkeley to do research. I was in a class where I went out and I just looked at squirrels all day to do a squirrel population study. I know friends who were in our Strawberry Creek capturing crayfish to do population studies on the crayfish. And so we really get hands-on experience through this college.
Yes, the College of Natural Resources is a great place to be, Grace. Next, let's talk about the College of Environmental Design. The College of Environmental Design is one of the smallest colleges here at UC Berkeley, just around 650 students. And it offers 4 majors, so architecture, landscape architecture, urban studies, and sustainable environmental design. What I love about the College of Environmental Design is the building itself. It's called Worcester Hall, and Worcester Hall is built in a very unique style called brutalism. I love personally studying at the library at Worcester, and I know that every every environmental design student has the opportunity and has the free space to make their study space their own. And I think it's really, really cool. Other than that, the College of Environmental Design has a lot of notable alumni. So you probably do know about the San Francisco City Hall or the Golden Gate Bridge, both of which were built by alumni from the College of Environmental Design. That's pretty cool. And it's also we offer one of the most prominent architecture department and environmental design department in the world as well, which is something we take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, definitely. And moving on to another, I mean, all of our colleges are amazing, but I get to talk about our College of Chemistry, which is ranked #1 globally. So super proud of our College of Chemistry. It is on the smaller side with only around 1,000 students and offering 3 majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. Something important to note is that if you're interested in chemical engineering, this is not housed in the College of Engineering, rather the College of Chemistry. So just keep that in mind. I've gotten to take so many classes in the College of Chemistry just because of my major. I've taken our introductory chemistry classes and our organic chemistry classes. And while they are definitely difficult, the professors are so accomplished in their fields and so knowledgeable. I've learned so much and they were very helpful. I will not say that chemistry is my strong suit, but I got to go to office hours with the professors and they were extremely, extremely helpful. And I felt like I came out with a pretty good understanding of chemistry, which is always important. And a lot of innovation and research happens in this college. Actually, 16 elements were discovered here, which is pretty mind-blowing. To note are berkelium and californium. And something else that I love to talk about is the Lewis dot structure. If you've ever taken an introductory chemistry course or a chemistry class in high school, you may know what the Lewis dot structure is. It was invented by a professor at Berkeley, and in order to help him teach his students how to visualize the sharing of electrons and valence electrons and atoms, because that can be really difficult to do without a visualization method. So it was created to help him teach the concept, and now it is so widespread, which is really cool.
Yes, I agree. The College of Chemistry is one of the coolest colleges here at Berkeley. I definitely remember learning about the Lewis dot structure in high school, and I had no idea that it was actually found here at Berkeley. Okay, next up is the College of Engineering, which is also one of the most prominent engineering colleges around the world as well. Yes, we do have a lot of amazing programs here at Berkeley. The College of Engineering has 11 majors and about 3,800 students, so a bigger population than the previous colleges we talked about. And we do offer anything from bioengineering to electrical engineering at the College of Engineering. There's also some dual programs like the MBA and engineering program, which you get a dual degree in, and also other programs like this as well. If you are interested in engineering, there are so many research opportunities available to you here at Berkeley, especially because of the geographical location. We're very close to Silicon Valley and stuff like that, where you can definitely find a lot of internship opportunities to apply whatever you learn in this college as well. And if you are interested in the College of Engineering, we do offer campus tours specifically for this college. So I do recommend you also check that out as well. So thank you for being with us through us talking about the undergraduate programs at Berkeley. Now let's move on to our graduate school programs. So our graduate school programs is, so after undergrad, if you are interested in grad school, we do offer many opportunities for you. First stop is the Haas School of Business. You have probably heard about it. I usually tell people when I introduce myself that my name is pronounced like Haas with a Y so that they can pronounce it better. But Haas is one of the most prominent business schools, and it is right at the heart of Berkeley. You can actually enter this college as an undergraduate. So you apply to this college the sophomore year as an undergrad, and then you go on with a business major if that's what you're interested in. If not, then Haas also offers a lot of dual programs. There's a global management program, there's the biology and business program. And if business is a passion of yours, you will definitely have a really great experience at Haas. Other than that, we do offer a lot of other graduate programs. There's a School of Education, there's a School of Information, Berkeley Law. So if you are pre-law or interested in law, Berkeley Law is a great law school. The School of Social Welfare, the School of Optometry, where you can actually get your eyes checked out for free as a Berkeley student. If you're interested in journalism, there's the School of Journalism, the School of Public Health, and the School of Public Policy. Now, other than all of these schools, most departments at Berkeley also offer their own specific graduate degree as well. So that is also something. Now Grace will talk more about this, but in every class you usually have a GSI, which is a graduate student instructor, which gives you a one-on-one experience with a graduate student. And yeah, with that, let's move on to classrooms and what a GSI is.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I was pretty nervous about when I committed to Berkeley was how big the student population is. And I was really worried that in larger classes, I would just become a number on like a grading screen and I wouldn't get that connection with my professors. But I hope that talking about our structure and class sizes helps ease that fear a little bit, because I've realized that that was not something I had to be worried about. How our classes are structured is that every class has a lecture and discussion section. So in lecture, it's the professor, and it's a 1 to 1.5 hour lecture just talking about the course material. And then you have a discussion session led by a graduate student instructor, with which Yaas talked about. It's a graduate student that is getting their graduate degree in the field similar to the class you are taking. So they are also an expert in the topic. And in the discussion session, they'll either go over material that was confusing during the main lecture or answer questions. Sometimes they'll have supplemental worksheets that you can do to practice for quizzes. They'll usually hold exam review sessions, and it's just a really great way to ask questions in a smaller setting. I know I personally have a hard time raising my hand in really large classes, so having this smaller session is really helpful for me to ask my questions and get more one-on-one help. Aside from that, all professors and graduate student instructors also hold office hours. So this is actual one-on-one time with your professor or graduate student instructor. And you don't have to go just if you have a question. I sometimes go just if I have a professor that I think is really cool, and ask them about their lives, how they got to the point that they did. And because of this, I've gotten to build really great relationships with professors, and I really appreciate office hours. And while we do have some larger classes, our student to faculty ratio is actually 19-1, and 81% of our classes have fewer than 50 students. So once you take kind of the larger, lower division courses, you will be in a lot smaller of classes. This year I had classes of around 50 students, even less than that, sometimes with like 30. And so that's really great. And you get to know your professors really well, which is awesome. And then we also have a lot of resources for students, including the Student Learning Center, which I love taking advantage of. It is, and we call it the SLC for short, and basically it's a center that provides free tutoring in so many different topics. They have writing, chemistry, math, and I was in a couple classes that are known for being a little bit tougher, so organic chemistry. And when you're in a class like that, you're automatically put into an email list serve, and they will email you like, hey, the SLC is holding a review session for the midterm on this day, or this is when we're offering peer-to-peer tutoring for this class, so come and get your homework help. And I definitely utilized it. It's really great getting to learn from another student who has taken the course previously. And so I love all the resources that we have for students to succeed.
Thank you, Grace, for talking all about the class structure and how classes work here at Berkeley. So as you know, even though all of that is true, this year was a little bit different because we had our year in the cloud. So since March last year, we had fully remote everything. And all students though got access to Zoom Pro, and classes were held either, well, all classes were held online, but they were either synchronous, which means that all classes were held, that the class was held at a specific time where students could attend like a classroom and ask questions while the professor was teaching, and some classes were taught in asynchronous learning, which is some pre-recorded lectures or stuff that students did while not having direct access to this professor. Even though everything was online, all our resources were also put online to alleviate the stress and Zoom fatigue that students were feeling. So for example, the SLC, which is the Student Learning Center, also went online. So if you needed help with a class or wanted someone to proofread your essay, I definitely utilize this the Learning Center to get help on my essays, because I do have to write a lot of essays every semester. So that was pretty helpful. We just like went online and got a time slot, and you were able to meet with your tutor on Zoom. Other than that, the Tang Center also had a lot of workshops on resiliency because, to be honest, it was a pretty hard time navigating Zoom, and screen time was up a lot because we were on screen all the time. So it was really great that the Time Center, which is our health center here at Cal, held workshops for us to be able to prioritize our mental health and make sure that we are keeping ourselves healthy, even though everything was virtual. What actually did help me was Google Calendar. Google Calendar or the Berkeley Google Calendar. Every class, every online meeting, every organization club meeting sent us a link in our Google Calendar, which I could put in my Google Calendar, and that way I never missed out on anything. Also, as Grace was talking about office hours and GSIs, they also held office hours online. So yes, even though it was online, the classes were online, you could still meet with your professor online one-on-one and get that kind of Berkeley experience and get to know your professor and ask your questions and ask for help like a regular semester.
Yeah, we had a really good transition to online learning, I think. And while I'm super excited to get back to in-person learning, I will miss those asynchronous classes. So the 8 a.m.s will be a little tough, but I'm excited to get back to in-person. Now we're going to move on to housing and dining. So for housing, we have different residence halls, and freshmen do get priority for housing. These halls include the units 1, 2, and 3. I lived in unit 3 and had a view of the bay, which is beautiful. I could see the Golden Gate Bridge from my room, and I would watch the sunset every single night. It was so beautiful, and I loved that. But we also have Foothill, Stern, which is an all-women's building, Clark Kerr, and Blackwell, which is our newest our newest residential hall. And then in normal semesters, these options have doubles, triples, and suites. But this past year, because of everything going on, all students were given singles, and students had a 10-day self-sequestering period when they arrived on campus and social pods so that they could still hang out with people, but safely. And the meal plan is included when you apply to housing. Another thing that's really great to look into is our theme programs. So theme programs are floors where you can live with people who are passionate about the same things that you are, or who have similar interests. So for example, there is an environmental floor in Clark Kerr. So if you're really into environmentalism, you can live with a bunch of people who are also into that. And we have so many different theme programs, which is awesome. And while I mentioned that housing is not guaranteed, if you submit your housing form and select the option for any room, any location, you do have a really high chance of receiving housing. So I would highly recommend clicking that option.
Wow, Grace, that's really nice that you had the most amazing, beautiful view. Yes, I do recommend living in dorms if you're a freshman as well. Now, if you're not a freshman, if you're a continuing or transfer student, what happens to your housing? So there are a couple of options available to you. You can either apply for housing through UC Berkeley. So there's on-campus housing and on-campus apartments. If you want a dorm side, you can put that as your suggestion. If you want to live in a suite, you can do that. Or if you're more interested in apartments, UC Berkeley offers that as well. If not, if you're an international student, there is iHouse available to you. iHouse is the international housing for UC Berkeley students. There's also affiliated properties and off-campus apartments available to you as well. And you can do this through different businesses and different realtors here at Berkeley. If you want a more affordable housing type of thing, the co-ops are great. I have a couple of friends living in co-ops. They do bulk grocery shopping and they save a lot of money. If you're in Greek life, Greek housing is also an option. And then you have the choice to choose a meal plan. And if you do choose a meal plan, then you can dine at different dining halls. If not, then you can cook for yourself. More information if you are interested in housing and what you want, where you want to live, you can visit housing.berkeley.edu.
Yeah, I'm actually staying in a co-op right now. It's amazing. But moving on to health and safety, I love getting to talk about this slide because I've utilized a lot of these resources and they've all been amazing. So in the bottom right-hand center, you're seeing a picture of our Tang Center, which is our health center. And within this building, there's urgent care, primary care, physical therapy, a concussion specialist. I know because I had to see him. And we did and then there was this year a lot of COVID testing happening at our RSF, which is the recreational sports facility, and at various locations. But so every student is offered the student health insurance plan, but you're always able to opt out of this plan if you have insurance through your parents or insurance that you would rather use. So I have the student health insurance plan, and this was amazing because when I got my concussion, I got to see the concussion specialist and a physical therapist for only $15 copay every single visit. And that was really, really helpful in a time that was a little bit difficult. And then we also have psychological counseling. So we have our CAPS, which is counseling and psychology services, which provides 5 free counseling sessions to all students because, mental health is so important and we want to prevent burnout. We want to prevent students from struggling in those aspects so that they can be the best students that they can be. I also want to touch on Path to Care, which is which provides support to survivors of sexual violence and harassment and work to prevent sexual violence and harassment from happening on our campus. We also have the Optometry Eye Center, which I've also utilized. I got glasses for $15 copay through the student health insurance plan, and that was really amazing. And then we also have a lot of fun stress relief options. So we have Pause for Mental Health, which brings dogs to campus and you can pet them. And then my favorite is Llama-palooza. So I remember freshman year, I was walking out of class past Memorial Glade, which Yaas talked about previously. And I saw so many people standing on the glade. And I was like, what's happening? I need to go check that out. And as I got closer, I see like 5 llamas just standing there. And you get to take pictures with them and pet them. And it's so much fun. So I highly recommend Llama-palooza.
Oh my God, I love Llama-palooza. Definitely the best anti-stress thing that campus offers. Let's move on to campus safety services. So we do have a safe campus here, and UC Berkeley is committed to keeping students safe and secure at all times. So the UCPD, which is the UC Berkeley Police Department, is located very close to campus on South Side. On campus and near the dorms, there are blue light poles available. You see one of the pictures in the bottom left corner. These light poles let you connect to a UC person if you feel in danger or if you want to contact the night safety shuttle or escort services to escort you to a more safe place. All UC Berkeley students can sign up for Warn Me notifications, which gives them updates on anything that is happening around safety around UC Berkeley. There is also some night services available. There's the night safety shuttle. The shuttle goes all over campus and makes sure students that are up late studying on campus get home safe. There's also Bear Walk, where Berkeley students can contact a UC student or a person to come walk with them home. If I definitely used this a lot when I was studying for midterms until like 2 a.m. on campus, and it was definitely a great experience. Made me feel very safe.
Yeah, and as we've talked about a little bit throughout this presentation, we have a really large student population, and so it's important that we have resources to help all of the communities represented on campus. One resource I just really wanted to talk about is the Associated Students of the University of California, which is the ASUC, which is our student government. And we have different senators that run for government on a variety of different platforms that range from sustainability to menstrual equity to financial aid. And our senators really represent so many different communities at Cal to ensure that every voice is heard in our student government, which is amazing. And then for support and equity, we have the Disabled Students Program and the Basic Needs Center. The Disabled Students Program was really helpful for me when I had my concussion. I was given temporary accommodations just because I did have the concussion and my academics were really hard for me to complete. So they gave me a little bit of help in that regard until my concussion was healed. So I really appreciate that resource.
Now let's talk about student life. I think what really makes Berkeley students stand out beyond academic life, since we are all very bright and smart here at Cal, the most valuable aspect of UC Berkeley, in my opinion, is what students are passionate about and our registered student organizations. We have more than 1,000 registered student organizations at Berkeley, and those are just the registered ones. We also have a lot of unregistered student orgs. And no matter what you're interested in, you can definitely find a student organization affiliated with that interest. There is also a lot of volunteering opportunities available to you here at Berkeley. There's the Public Service Center. For example, I do volunteer through that center through this program called Build. We help middle school and elementary school students get better at reading and writing through mentoring. And that is just one example. There are many more available to you. There's also a lot of internship opportunities available to Berkeley students, specifically because of Berkeley's geographical location. So we are in the Bay Area, in very close to San Francisco and Silicon Valley. So it is a great, it's a very easy commute with BART to get to be able to attend internships in San Francisco or Silicon Valley, if that is what you're interested in. Some other programs available to students are study abroad, and study abroad is a great experience. I have many friends who've studied abroad, and I'm definitely going to try to be able to study abroad before I graduate. Our campus is gorgeous, and since we are in the Bay Area, there's a lot of green space, there's a lot of hikes, a lot of great places to go for pretty views of the Bay. So there's always something to do here at Berkeley. And if you're worried about jobs after graduation, we have the Berkeley Career Center that will give you a quiz accustomed to your abilities and help you figure out what is it that you want to do with your life. Basically, I've used that service and it gave me a lot of clarity on my future career. So yeah, it's amazing to be a Berkeley student.
Yeah, so I'm just going to breeze through our athletics really quickly. We have 3 levels of competition. Division 1, which is our football players, basketball players. They're really amazing. I love going to games to cheer them on. And then we have club, which is a little bit less intensive competition, but you still get to play against different club teams. So I know a lot of people on the women's club water polo team, and they love it. And then my level is intramural / recreational. So anyone can create an intramural team and play different games like dodgeball, soccer, basketball. I know my friends made an intramural dodgeball team that I played on sometimes, and it's very low commitment. If you can't make a game, you just don't show up. And so that's really awesome and a good way to get some exercise in. And then I just want to mention that UC Berkeley students have won 207 Olympic medals, which is so crazy. And we have a lot. I was watching the swim Olympic trials, and we have sent some of our swimmers to the next Olympic Games in Tokyo. And so I'm so excited to cheer them on and hopefully let this medal count go up a little bit.
Yes, I fully support that. Hopefully we can. So you know that this semester, since everything was online, all our resources were also available online. For example, Golden Bear orientation, which is freshman orientation, was offered fully online. A lot of clubs, actually all clubs, And the organization also shifted to being online. We held online events, online meetings, online socials, and each campus department, each major department also had their events online where they invited speakers from all around the world, and on Zoom where we could attend and ask questions like a regular setting, but it was on our computers. Other than that, there was a lot of other stuff that UC Berkeley did. For example, there were bird talk where you could ask questions from famous alumni, and admin if you wanted to. So yes, our remote experience was also amazing.
Yeah. So moving on to campus and libraries, we have 24 official libraries, which gets me really excited because I love libraries. One of my goals is to study in each of the 24 libraries. I think I'm at like 7 right now, so I have a lot of libraries to get to next year. But we also do, as we've mentioned throughout this presentation, so much research on campus. And my favorite part of that is that undergraduates can get involved through the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, which I'm a part of. I'm in a lab that's studying how wildlife responds to wildfires, and that's been amazing. Different colleges also have their own research programs. Like I know CNR has SPUR, the sponsored program for undergraduate research, sponsored projects, sorry, and the engineering college has Beehive. So you can definitely get involved in research as an undergraduate, or you can always cold email professors if you think their research is interesting. And I know a lot of my friends have gotten research positions through that. So definitely so many opportunities to get involved in research at Berkeley.
Yes, definitely so many opportunities. So if you paid attention to the last slide, you saw Jennifer Doudna, who is our 2020 Nobel Prize winner in chemistry. She is a professor here at Berkeley, and actually I have friends that work at her lab. Other than her, we also have a lot of other famous alumni like Beverly Cleary, who was, if you read the Ramona and Beezus series, it was written by Beverly Cleary. Chris Pine also went to Berkeley, and we have a lot of other famous alumni as well.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts of Berkeley and what really drew me to this school was our campus. We are located in the most amazing spot where it's a perfect mix of like urban and nature. I love going hiking in our fire trails, which are just on the hills behind campus. But then there's also so many amazing restaurants to explore. The San Francisco is just one BART or bus ride away. My friends freshman year, I was coming back from an exam. They grabbed me and said, "We're going to San Francisco." And we just went, which was incredible. So it's just in the perfect location to get to explore so many different things.
Thank you both so much for that wonderful visit. You guys managed to talk about so many different things, and I think that our visitors really enjoyed that. And now I just, want to ask you guys some questions that were asked live. Because we only have 5 minutes left, I'm only able to ask one question, but I think that this is a very important question that our visitors brought up. But somebody asked, so why did you guys decide to come to Berkeley? And also what has made you stay? We can start off with Yaas, and then we can go to Grace.
Oh, that is my favorite question. Back in 2017, I attended this pre-college program that was held at Berkeley. And I remember just like walking onto campus, and this was like the second college campus I had ever been on. I just felt so welcomed, and I felt a sense of belonging to the trees and the beautiful buildings and the campanile. I don't know, it was just such a surreal moment in my life. And then that summer, I was able to speak to students and that were on campus that summer, and turned out one of them was very passionate about human rights and worked at the Human Rights Center at Berkeley. At that point, I didn't even know that human rights could turn into a career. I just knew that I was interested in it. So Berkeley did have a lot of impact on me and what I wanted to do in with my future. and it really made me feel belonged because it put my passion into this like concrete thing that I could do in the world. 2 years later, I applied to Berkeley, got in, and was able to also join the Human Rights Center and do research with the same person I talked to 2 years prior. And what has made me stay is my conversations with people, my professors. Every second, every minute I spend at Berkeley, I fall in love with it over again. It's been a beautiful experience so far.
Yeah, my Berkeley story actually begins around 30 years ago. My dad was accepted to Berkeley for his PhD. And Berkeley, he always talks about how Berkeley changed his life. He came to the US with $200 and that was it. And from that, he built a career, and he was able to give my siblings and I so many amazing opportunities. So he always says that Berkeley made his American dreams come true. And so I've always known about Berkeley. I was raised hearing about Berkeley, coming to campus when I was like 3 years old. But I always had the dream of going out of state for college because I am from California. And my dad knew that, but he still pushed me to apply to Berkeley. So I did, kind of not expecting to come here. And then I opened my letter of acceptance, and that changed everything. I opened my letter of acceptance while I was touring the school that I thought I was going to commit to. And everything changed. I came to campus and I immediately fell in love. You know, when you're 3 years old, you kind of remember things incorrectly. So I definitely didn't remember the campus correctly. It was so beautiful. Everyone was so passionate about so many different things, and talking to people in the environmental community was really inspiring for me. And I knew that I'd be able to find a community of people who were passionate about the same things that I was. And I made my dad's dream come true of one of his kids going to Berkeley. I committed, and I'm just so excited to see 30 years from now how Berkeley has affected my life, because it has already made such a positive impact on me. So that's kind of my Berkeley story, and I'm so glad I decided to commit to this school.
I completely agree. I think that honestly, a tour guide always gives me this, or like always gives me like this piece of advice to potential applicants is like, don't choose your college based on the person you are now, but choose a college based on the person who you want to become. And I couldn't agree more. I think like I saw at Berkeley exactly the person I want to become. I knew that Berkeley was going to shape me into that individual that I want to be when I grow up. So thank you guys so much for that. I just want to share some resources with our visitors before we leave. So I'm going to link that admission presentation that I mentioned earlier and all of things like that. So thank you guys for joining us here today. If you want to kind of have even a better visit of our campus, you can go to our U Visit tour, which is basically kind of a Google Maps drop-in feature-ish, and you get to walk around campus, see the buildings, and it feels like you're actually walking on campus. And you can do that at uvisit.com/Berkeley. We are going to be resuming in-person tours as well. So if you'd like to go to an actual in-person tour and see one of us as well in person, I will also be linking that. So you can also follow us on Instagram at Visit UC Berkeley. Or if you had any questions that weren't answered during this tour, or after this tour, you realize like, hey, I have this dying question and I need to know the answer, you can email us at tour@berkeley.edu and a student ambassador will answer you with your question. We also have the Bear Talk blog, which at beartalk.berkeley.edu, where our campus ambassadors talk about their daily life here at Cal, give tips, anything you want, they have it covered there. They talk about research, talk about their experiences. We also have different recorded virtual visits available on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley, as I mentioned. We also celebrated 150 years of women at last year, so I highly recommend going to 150w.berkeley.edu to read stories from remarkable women who attended our institution. The admissions presentation I talked about earlier is at admissions.berkeley.edu/visit. And finally, if you'd like to know more from our campus ambassadors, you can go to another ambassador student panel or an engineering visit at visit.berkeley.edu, which is the same website you used to register for this visit. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us here today. I want to personally send you off with a typical Berkeley farewell. So on 3, if our 2 tour guides would unmute themselves so we can send off our visitors today. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Go Bears!
Go Bears!
Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.